How are we doing, Kansas Jayhawks fans? This is your host, Nick Rondeau, bringing at you some Jayhawks Daily content, and happy Halloween to everyone out there. But let's talk about, some Jayhawks coming up, what we hope for the team, kind of what we've seen, some past results for, some NCAA championships, what makes a championship team a championship team come March. And as you can see, a little fun one, NBA 2K26 to those video game individuals out there like myself, seeing that Kansas will be a featured team in NBA 2K26. Very cool. A couple months ago, it was announced that college teams would be back, and 2K was selected as the partner to feature these college teams for their basketball content. And coming off of that hot note, months later, they announced that Kansas will be one of the teams. Wow, we're so shocked. The Kansas Jayhawks, a true blue blood. Yeah, we knew we were getting our team. That's us. But looks like they're going to be featuring about 16 teams. They've only announced a couple right now. It looks like they may be going by conference because they started with the Big 12, and it's going to be us, Baylor, Arizona, and obviously coming off that national championship finals appearance, Houston. So they got a lot of backlash. They feel like this is rushed. They thought it was going to be, maybe next year's game. They hoped it was going to be a standalone game. Just didn't seem like they had enough time, and they're just trying to push the content out. Very cool still. Obviously, you'll be able to use some Kansas players. Hopefully, people are getting monetized correctly. Hopefully, DP's in the game. He's probably going to be a 99 overall because he's incredibly talented. But it'll be fun. It'll be definitely fun to utilize them, and hopefully they can get everything interesting. Make Allen Fieldhouse pop, stuff like that. We hope that. There was a lot of criticism in that. We'll see kind of how it plays out, but thought I'd give something fun, just a little fun update, not particularly on the court, but on the virtual court for everyone out there. But yeah, next up we'll go right into some real basketball, the good stuff, the Jayhawks stuff, and that's going to be our starting five. And I've mentioned it many times, and it just keeps changing. And this season hasn't even tipped off, really. And it just keeps and keeps and keeps changing because this team, it's the best way put that Bill puts it, Trey White puts it, everyone puts it. This team is so deep. And I think it's going to kind of, in turn, have a lot of different starting five combinations. And I'm going to start this out first by saying starting five to put everything to bed is Flory Badunga. I don't like seeing anyone in comments, in the media, anyone saying that Flory Badunga is going to be benched for Bryson Tiller after 2 exhibition games. That makes no sense, people. That just makes no sense. Flory could have left potentially to go to the NBA. He could have gone to any team. He chose to come back. He is going to be our starting center because he's an elite talent. He is a great, probably I would say going to be one of the best in the country rim protectors. So that's number one for our team because we need defense. And two, unbelievable in the pick and roll. I mean, he will catch any lob, he will finish it, and he's going to expand his game. We're going to see it expand outside just the 4-foot radius. It's going to expand to probably 10, maybe 12, we hope. But, yes, he doesn't have the best post moves. You don't need post moves all the time from your big man. And he does have a couple. So we're putting that to bed. Flory Badunga at the 5. But obviously, we're going to be starting with Melvin and Darren. Still going to be that 1-2 combo. Going to be one of the best backcourts. Melvin's going to be on the court just as much as Darren, it seems, maybe even more. Who knows? But he just seems very crucial to this team, facilitating-wise, but I say defensively. He had, in 2 exhibitions, 10 assists, 3 turnovers. It's a pretty good assist-turnover ratio, but they got to make sure they're keeping that strong. And it was interesting. They asked kind of Trey White, and speaking of Trey White, he'll be slotting into that either at the 3 or the 4. We're not sure, but asking Trey White and Melvin after the game, what stats do they usually look at in the box score post? Trey White was like, well, usually I want to look at assist to turnover ratio. How did I do? And Melvin was like, well, I want to see my rebounding. And Bill was like, I think those two got it mixed up. Did they swap bodies or something? Is this Freaky Friday? Like, no, you need your point guard to see assist to turnover ratio, and you need your 4 to see how well he's rebounding. So I like how they're thinking of both things. They're thinking because Trey White is going to be a key facilitator. He's going to be on the court a lot this year. And sometimes he's going to have to run the point, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel very confident in that. I feel confident in him stretching the court, but also, yes, running the point. He's going to be a very talented player for us all around. And who that fifth spot is keeps going around. I'm going to say it's not Jaden Dawson. He is in the proverbial Bill Self doghouse already. Not playing really in game one at all. In game two, kind of barely playing and didn't look great. Bill looked mad whenever he threw like a turnover. I think, this is classic Bill Self, guys. We all know it. And someone gets thrown in the doghouse, and it's him. And it's not Jaden Dawson in the starting lineup. Cole Rosario, maybe, but I really do think the way Bryson's been playing, it's going to start with Bryson at the 4, Trey White at the 3, in Floyd Badung at the 5, ending with our backcourt of Melvin and Darren. Bryson is playing too well. He's a talented player, and Cole Rosario, I don't see the point of starting Cole Rosario now when he hasn't shown that he can help us offensively. And, Bryson Tiller can, because this kind of gets into my next point. Is it rebounding or is it three-point shooting? And, with Cole Rosario, you're choosing three-point shooting. You're choosing three-point potential, shot-making potential. With Bryson, you're choosing rebounding. You're choosing, different kind of style of play. But would I rather get a lot of rebounds? Would I rather get a lot of 3 points? I really do think it's a game-by-game basis. What starting lineups are we going to be facing? I think the one that I just laid out for you right there, that it will be 100% our starting lineup for the UNC game. I think Cole Rosario in that lineup and Trey White at the 4 does not make sense. We would get out-rebounded by a large margin. And, again, it's going to swap. We're going to have a lot of rotations. This team is deep, but wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to perform that way. But speaking of, this is just kind of in a general sense, not just starting lineup sense, in a general sense, would I be choosing rebounding as our strength or three-point shooting as our strength? And, I'm just picking these up as potential criticisms for this team. The three-point shooting is going to be a problem. I don't think the entire year. I think they'll string it together. But right now, Jaden Dawson coming into the season was our clear-cut best three-point shooter. And like I said, he's in the doghouse. Don't see him getting out immediately. I'm hoping he has a big game against either Green Bay or UNC, so we can kind of let him fly and get cooking early. We don't need to bench him early, Bill, but you know the team better. I understand. But especially if Cole Rosario's not hitting his threes, because no offense to him, his threes aren't even looking close. And Jaden Dawson is a 40% three-point shooter. I just have more faith in the guy who's done it for the last 3 years as kind of loyal Chicago's guy than some, young kid who has a lot of energy, really works hard, probably hard to keep out of that starting lineup in Bill's eyes. This guy is doing everything he can since coming in, late June to be in that starting lineup. But Jaden Dawson's got to be getting going if we're going to have a chance to stay in these three-point contests. We saw, we played Louisville. We beat them. They're a three-point. Did we not see what Louisville did their next exhibition game? I think they hit, each of the guys that I said that were going to be McNeely, Conwell, and Michael Brown. I think they each had 5 threes at least in their next exhibition game. They're going to be letting them fly. It's going to be leading to long rebounds, so it keeps getting into our point. Are we rebounding, or are we going to be three-point shooters? It's such a tough, game to tell. And I just had to do a little bit of research because we all know. We watch March, we see it, and we're like, wow, they won't stop hitting threes. This is crazy. 23 of the last 25 national champions have at least 3 players who'd average at least one made 3 per game. One made 3 is not crazy. Right now, if I'm putting that into perspective, Darren Peterson's one made 3 per game. We're hoping Jaden Dawson will be one made 3 per game. But I would say, if not, I would say Trey White. And then that third one, it's either got to be Cole Rosario, Jaden Dawson, one of those two, or Melvin Council. But the thing is, Melvin Council, he's a 29% three-point shooter. We don't need him to take a lot of threes. I think Trey is easily that number 2 slot at one made 3 a game. And beyond that, you're just hoping. But the thing is, like I said, 23 of 25. So it's not a coincidence. You need three guys to be able to shoot the three-point shot. And going into it more, 22 of the last 25 national champions have at least one player who's at least made two three-pointers. Okay, that's not that's Darren Peterson. That's two made threes a game. That's Darren Peterson. We can fit into that category. He's going to be our volume shooter. He's going to be our best three-point shooter, probably. And then 10 of the last 21 had multiple players with 2 threes a game. So, yes, that's a little bit less, a little less common. It's just that's a lot of three-point shooting, but that's actually, if I remember correctly, that number is incorrect. I believe the census was done a couple years ago, and I know for a fact both of those UConn teams had at least 2 guys making 2 three-pointers a game, in Tristan Newton and Cam Spencer in one year, and then Tristan Newton and Jordan Hawkins in the other. I know that for a fact, so that number is false. I cannot speak to last year's Florida team, but I know that last year's Florida team meets all those metrics. I mean, Walter Clayton was hitting a 3, Condon was hitting a 3, and the thing is, and the last one I want to see is 22 of 25 national champions had at least 3 35% three-point shooters. So, again, 22 of the last 25 years have at least 3 35% shooters. And coming into this season, we have 1. Yes, that's Jaden Dawson. I'm going to put it as 2 because Darren Peterson will be shooting 35%. We saw what he just did. I mean, 6 for 10, that's incredible. And these were NBA style. These were dribble pull-ups. These weren't all catch releases. He had a great one off of a flare screen. I mean, Darren Peterson will be that number, but you need 3 guys to do it. And Trey White, he could step that number up. He's looking like it right now. But Jaden Dawson's in the doghouse. Who knows? Cole Rosario not shooting well. This team has a lot of question marks at three-point shooting, and I just think given this day and age and given kind of those statistics, look at kind of rebounding statistics for national champions is a little bit harder. It's typically by percentages allowed or offensive rebounds attained. And those are kind of percentages. It's kind of difficult to see the national champions pull on that, but three-point is a lot more easy. It's a lot more statistical to kind of determine, and I will say that Florida team would rebound. The UConn back-to-back teams could rebound. That banner behind me, David McCormick, Ochai Agbaji, Christian Brown, they were rebounders. So everyone's got to work on the boards. I know Trey White will. I know DP will. I know Melvin will. Flory. I have no lack in confidence in that we are going to get rebounds. The reason why we may have been, struggling rebounding against that Louisville team is long three-pointers equal long rebounds, and we were not fighting for it enough, and we will because this team's got hustle, and that's something that we did see is we've got hustle, but maybe we're not always in the right position. So rebounding, I have no lack of confidence in us there, but what's our success? What's our, answer, our recipe? It's to out-rebound, obviously, and let the threes fly. I hate to say it because I hate when teams just go down and shoot threes all the time. Like Alabama's been doing over the past couple of years, threes and layups. They've been a top seed each year. They've had a couple of pretty good runs. No more Mark Sears, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure Mark Sears has got to be at eligibility at this point. But that's just what they did. They let three-pointers fly, and they have some good runs. But, yes, when they don't go in, that's usually when they get bounced. Well, for us, we don't have to rely on the three-point shots. We can finish at the rim. We can finish everywhere else. But there's no problem in letting it fly when I think if we're going to be out-rebounding, we're going to have more possessions. So let a couple of them fly. We know DP is going to be letting them fly. Trey White's shown, an aptness to do that. Will Jaden Dawson be out of the doghouse by then? Yeah, hopefully. You never know with Bill. Sometimes he keeps him there for decades. But, I just think we're going to have to out-rebound people. That's obvious. And the three-pointers will fall. I have no lack of confidence in that. I think Cole Rosario's just young. I don't think he's going to have the yips like Nicholas Timberlake type things. He's not going to be timid like Rylan Griffin. I think he's going to come in. It might take him more of like a Furphy type of role. It's not going to be Grady Dick where he comes in and lights it up. Grady Dick was one of the top prospects. We can't look at it that way. Furphy, it was an arc. It took a little bit, and then, he got up there. So that's what I expect from Cole. And then the rest of the guys, these tenured transfers, We expect you to have an impact immediately this season. That just makes sense. We're going to be relying on Flory. We're going to be relying on Darren Peterson, but these transfers got to step it up because this is the last episode before, well, technically Monday will be before tip-off, but this is the last week, the last full week before Kansas Jayhawks play basketball for we tip off in a game that will count to the record. We are 0-0 right now. Exhibitions mean nothing. But come Monday, come Doug Gottlieb's Green Bay team that had 4 wins last year, we need to go 1-0. And then Friday, we've got UNC, a top 25 matchup. We need to go 2-0. And then we'll talk about the week after that because it's one game at a time. It's 1 week at a time here on this podcast. But I appreciate everyone for listening. We're getting into it. We're going to get into some basketball games. We're going to do some pregame analysis, some postgame analysis. We're going to do it all. I appreciate everyone for joining me on this journey. It's been a long month to come to this point for us to get this Kansas Jayhawk tip-off, but I appreciate everyone for subscribing. Please, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment. I want to hear what you've got to say. I want to hear what you guys are going to say about next week's games, about this content, anything you want new, any changes. But again, have a happy Halloween, and let's go Jayhawks. Rock, chalk. Can't wait for next week. Thank you, guys.